program is brought to you by
Qatar Airways, world's 5-star airline.
VS Nikitan School, aspiring for a bright future.
कार्पेट को सहन्छ यति कार्पेट
जडीबुटीको शक्ति साबुन ओखती
हेरिटेज कार्पेट आरामदायी अनि बेग्लै अनुभवका लागि
Silver Mountain School of Hotel Management, Lainchor, Kathmandu, Nepal. Softwareca College of IT and E-Commerce.
Motive, language and abroad studies.
Uni Campus Education Network, Putali Sadak, Kathmandu.
DAV Susil Kedia Biswavarati Higher Secondary School, Zaulakhel, Lalitpur.
NAMI, the college where education is fun.
The British College, a truly British university experience in Kathmandu.
Call us at Herald College, where aims become achievement.
Nepal Japan Seva Center Private Limited, Nagpokhari Durga Bhavan, Kathmandu, Nepal. मम्मी म त अस्ट्रेलिया जान्छु अस्ट्रेलिया
यदि तिमी अस्ट्रेलिया जाने नै हो भने अस्ट्रेलिया सम्बन्धी राम्रो कन्सल्टेन्सीमा गएर प्रक्रिया सुरु गर
For further details, please contact Unicampus Education Network, phone 4423 759 4418019, Putali Sadak, Kathmandu.
Explore, learn, aspire, win. VS Nikitan School, aspiring for a bright future.
Abroad studies? I used to think it's such a headache thinking about what, where and how. I didn't even know where to start from. Then Motive came along. They advised me options about my career, which college to go to, and even scholarship options and all my visa processing. So here I am, all set to go.
Motive, language and abroad studies.
यति कार्पेट 29 आकर्षक रङहरुमा यति कार्पेट किन्दा सुन्दरको लोगो हेर्न नभुल्नुहोला
कार्पेट को सहन्छ यति कार्पेट
Thinking of joining MBA? Then Welham's College can be your final destination. Join MBA at Welham's College, affiliated to University of Madras and approved by MOE.
रियल होस् या रियल लाइफ ब्युटी मेक्स पर्सनालिटी ओखती छ त्यसैले स्किनको कुनै चिन्तै छैन
जितको खुसी होस् या हारको पीडा ओखती साबुनले नुहाएपछिको स्फूर्ति नै बेग्लै हुन्छ
म पनि ओखती साबुन नै प्रयोग गर्छु
एलोभेरा चन्दन अश्वगन्धा चिउरी मह तुलसी पिपरमिन्ट बदाम नीम जस्ता 18 आयुर्वेदिक तत्वको मिश्रणबाट बनाइएको ओखती फेस सोपको प्रयोगले अनुहारको चाया पोतो एलर्जी हटाउन सधैँ प्रयोग गरौं जडीबुटीको शक्ति साबुन ओखती
Namaste and welcome to our television program Sevama Rotary. With this television show, we have been trying to clear the vision mission of Rotary International District 3292 to all our viewers. Today we have international delegates Nicola Hintz and Malcolm Shid, who were the representative of Shelter Box to Nepal. Shelter Box is an organization who have been working with Rotary International. They were the ones who were there to help Nepal in landslide and flood victims to Bardia, Surkhet and Sunkosi. Now without any other delay, let us welcome them to our program.
Thank you very much.
Ms. Nicola, you're welcome to our program as well.
Thank you.
First of all, starting our conversation with your visit to Nepal, how long have you been here at Nepal?
Shelterbox arrived in Nepal in late August last year, and we arrived to deal with flooding in the mid-western region. The organisation were present here till about the middle of November, over which time we did a fairly extensive shelter project working in 4 districts in that region. The organisation then left Nepal, and myself and Nicola have returned to Nepal, and we've been here for 2 weeks travelling around some of the districts that we did distributions in to really try and identify how the beneficiaries related with the aid that we provided, and to try and identify learning points so that we could improve as an organisation.
What is Shelterbox, and would you please kindly briefly define about Shelterbox?
Well, Shelterbox is an international disaster relief charity. We bring shelter and other items to help families survive in the immediate aftermath of a disaster. So I was sent out to Nepal, to the Sirkhet province in September, where there had been extensive landslides and flooding issues which had left many, many people homeless and landless. So the main challenge for us in Sirkhet was dealing with the remoteness of the villages. The tracks to the villages were destroyed by the landslides, so it was a very difficult task to get our aid, our tents and our equipment out to those families.
The shelter box, the idea behind the shelter box came from one person who was watching a news report about a natural disaster, and he asked himself, he was a Rotarian, and he asked himself, what would I need if I lost all my belongings and my home and I was looking to shelter my family and actually rebuild? So that's where the concept of the shelter box came from. And within the box, we basically provide the materials in order to house a typical family and provide them some of the materials they might need to rebuild. So we have a family-sized tent, which takes about 4 or 5 people. We provide blankets, ground sheets, a water filtration unit, kitchen set, anti-malarial or mosquito nets, solar lamps. There's a number of materials we provide.
So that is how it is prepared, almost having all the things that would help to live temporarily.
Yes, and that really is one of the questions that we were asking while we were in Nepal. We've been going around to some of the communities, seeing which items they found particularly useful, and also trying to see if there's other things that we could provide which would assist the community. So we provide them toolkits, and the toolkits have proved invaluable to help the people actually rebuild their homes.
We can see that slogan of Shelterbox is shelter, warmth and dignity, and so is of Rotary, that is service above self. Can we relate these two?
Absolutely, Priyanka. I think both of these organisations complement each other so well because we are both working for humanity, and we are both prepared to go the distance to help people in need.
How do you manage your time, like besides your personal life, serving people, going to other countries, and how do you manage your time for this?
I think Nicola's probably best positioned to answer this one.
Well, I'm a volunteer with the organisation. There are, I think, almost 200 of us volunteers across the world. So the way it works is we put our availability up on the website, and then when a disaster happens, the operations team put together a compatible team who will be able to work together effectively.
One of the interesting things about Shelterbox is its volunteer model. So we have volunteer response teams, and they're based all around the world, as Nicola mentioned. But also we have volunteers that do speaking, so they go out to communities, they talk to schools, and they fundraise on behalf of the organisation. Our boxes are packed primarily in the UK, and we have volunteers that come in and they pack the boxes. So we have this huge volunteer model. And you talk about the slogan of Rotary being service above self, and that really kind of typifies the volunteer mentality, really. Is they do all sorts of tasks in order to assist Shelterbox in its operations.
As you said that you are here direct from your field evaluation. So how was it? Can you please share about your evaluation?
I think it was absolutely fascinating, Priyanka. For myself, I think in every deployment there are going to be families that you remember, little stories that stick in your head. So for me it was very, very interesting to come back and see how Shelterbox have helped those families in the recovery and to help them to rebuild their lives. So it was really very, very interesting for me personally.
For me, so I was based in the UK for the first part of the deployment, and I was liaising with the team out here, and then I came out and I spent some time in Kathmandu managing the logistics. And as part of my role with the Shelter Box, I have to understand the challenges that the teams faced. And it's been really interesting to see how Shelter Box and how the teams got to some of the remotest areas. And we work with lots of other non-governmental organisations and international non-governmental organisations. And one of the things that's really come through is that Shelter Box went that little bit further in order to meet the needs of the remote locations. And that's the one thing that's really kind of impressed me is how they did it, the sort of the logistics involved in order to get 55 kilogram boxes over very sort of steep mountain terrain.
We also bring school boxes. We've found in the past that in many disasters, survivors are all put into the local schools just as a temporary shelter. And this, of course, stops education. So we've seen recently up in Sindapalchuk, following the big landslide up there, the school was completely destroyed. So Save the Children Fund have helped to build a temporary school there, and we have provided school boxes containing exercise books, solar calculators, radios,
maths kits and all sorts of stuff. I think an interesting point is that recovery is a physical process. People rebuild their homes. But actually there's also a psychological process. And we spoke with a school in Sindapalchuk that we did a distribution through, and we distributed the school boxes. And one of the messages that we got is the value in education as a means of taking children's minds away from the disaster. They'll do things like they'll draw through their thoughts on the landslide, as it was in this case. And that's part of a sort of a therapeutic process. So we have to recognise as an organisation, it's not just about providing physical tools, it's actually providing things that assist the community and help them to emotionally get over some of the challenges that they faced.
Which must be pretty hard, I guess.
We have heard some very harrowing stories, Priyanka. We were in Bardia province yesterday, and families were telling us where they spent 2 days hiding in trees, trying not to fall into the torrential water, which was moving so quickly it was just washing homes away, livestock and villagers. It was very harrowing listening to some of their stories.
True, exactly. How long have you been volunteering or being a part of Shelter Box, and any typical story that clicks on your mind every now and then?
I actually work for Shelter Box. I'm one of the operations team, but I volunteered for about 4 or 5 years before that. And actually, myself and Nicola have been away before. We went to Iraqi Kurdistan, which is on the Syrian border. And at the time, there were victims of the uprising in Syria moving over into Iraqi Kurdistan to seek refuge. And Shelter Box distributed 500 tents within a single refugee camp. And we went back about 18 months later to see how the tents were faring and see how communities were doing. And it made for really stark viewing. But one of the things that really struck me is that actually when people are provided with a platform, they can rebuild their lives. And even in a refugee camp, which is a pretty grim environment, and Kurdistan itself has a climate that goes to sort of 45, 50 degrees during the summer, and it drops down to 0 degrees and snow in the winter. And communities had started to rebuild, and they were building structures around what used to be their tents, and actually creating some form of platform in order to carry on with their life. And it's that tenacity of human spirit that I think, to me, kind of sticks in my mind.
Explore. Learn. Aspire. Win. VS Nikitan School, aspiring for a bright future.
On the ground or in the air, you can always be assured of our 5-star service. Qatar Airways, world's 5-star airline.
म हेरिटेज स्क्वायर म्याट्रेस नै प्रयोग गर्छु। अनि तपाई नि?
हेरिटेज स्क्वायर म्याट्रेस मिठो निन्द्राको लागि and ISO 9001:2008 certified company.
first ISO certified school based on Anglo-Vedic approach. Gives the world its future. DAV Susil Kedia Biswa Bharati Higher Secondary School, Zawlakhel, Lalitpur. Phone 5836 626.
Silver Mountain School of Hotel Management, Lainchor, Kathmandu. A truly international standard hospitality degree in Nepal, Silver Mountain School of Hotel Management offers dual international degree, a 4-year bachelor's degree in international hospitality and tourism management, BHM, from Queen Margaret University, the United Kingdom, 3 years higher diploma in international culinary arts and departmental specialization from American Hotel and Lodging Educational Institute, USA. For details, Silver Mountain School of Hotel Management, Lainchor, Kathmandu, Nepal. Phone 4415038. Softwareica College of IT and E-Commerce, building nation through information technology.
Study in Japan. Perfect counseling. Dedication. Success.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We wish you a bright future.
Nepal Japan Seva Center Private Limited, Nagpokhari Durga Bhavan, Kathmandu, Nepal. Contact us at 9771 4428242 4440792. Website www.nepaljapanseva.com. Rotary is a great organization, we all know that, but still Rotary and its things, Rotary as an organization is in darker side. People do not know what actually Rotary does. In this context, can you please share some of your experiences being here in Nepal and being here with Rotarians?
Well, Rotary is a wonderful international organisation. They give us very invaluable support. Maybe Malcolm would like to talk about their role in Nepal. They helped us with the logistics of getting the aid into the country, which is very often a problem. People, I think, forget that even at the time of a huge natural disaster, you still have to go through the customs process to get aid in, and all those logistics takes time, and Rotary, I think, helped us a lot in Nepal with that sort of issue.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, Rotary, in Nepal, for example, the Rotary acted as a consignee, so that means that they can accept aid on our behalf. But they did more than that. They also gave us access to logistics networks. So it's through Rotary contacts that we built a relationship with the Armed Police Force. And the Armed Police Force carried boxes, 100 of them in one case with Nicola, carried boxes. How many days was it?
We were literally working for 10 days non-stop. The Armed Police Force were carrying the boxes in warm temperatures for hours at a time, literally 5-6 hours. And then they had to be back at their barracks by nightfall, and they would leave us out in the field and we would camp overnight, and then in the morning we would help the beneficiaries to start putting up the tents. But the Armed Police Force were just marvellous. I really can't compliment them highly enough on their tenacity and their men's willingness to really go above and beyond.
But that would have never happened without Rotary links. And I think we've worked with Rotary we've deployed aid in 92 countries. And we've worked with Rotary in a vast majority of them. And Rotarians act in so many different capacities. They'll meet us at airports, they'll sort out hotels, they'll drive us around, they'll arrange logistics, they'll manage customs, and it's the local networks in country that make the work we do so successful, and Rotary are a big part of that. So we worked with a number of local Nepali people, and one of them, Jitendra, is a Rotaractor, which is a younger sort of element of Rotary. And he came to us as a translator, and we don't speak Nepali, we don't speak Hindi, so we often look for translators, and Jitendra provided a translator for us. But actually Jitendra worked through every single distribution that we did. I think he did 90% of the distributions, and by the end of it, actually he wasn't a translator, he was one of the team, and he did that all free. He just provided his time, and he was working with us for about two months. And actually, when we've come back, we've got Jitendra on board again, and that really kind of typifies that kind of relationship.
Yeah, and there was another Rotaractor, I can't quite remember his name, but he met us at our hotel and helped us with ATM facilities and just getting money and all the practicalities that are difficult at the beginning. But Jitendra was just the most terrific young man. He, as Malcolm has said, he became very much a valued part of the team. Nothing was too much trouble for him. He did everything to help us, including helping me to wade through rivers. To make sure I did not fall over. He was always beside me, holding me up.
Oh, that's great. How do you actually circulate your vision and mission of Shelter Box?
There are a number of Rotarians in our home countries who do a lot to promote Shelter Box, which is so much appreciated by the organisation. They go around schools and they organise different fundraising activities, which without the fundraising, quite honestly, we would not be here.
One of the things that actually sets Shelter Box apart from other NGOs is that we're funded by private donations. And one of the challenges that a lot of NGOs and charities have is they'll put together a programme and then they'll apply for funding. But actually, one of the advantages of Shelter Box is that the money is already there. The money has come in through that community level fundraising. So it enables us to actually start operating as soon as we arrive in a country. And that really is through this really wide network of fundraisers that work at that community level. We have people that go out and in the UK we call it tin rattling. They'll just go and they'll stand outside supermarkets and rattle tins, and people will just give bits of change. That's quite small amounts of money on a local scale, but you spread that in Australia, America, and France, and all the other countries that we have affiliations, and the donations that come through are huge.
Okay, that's the way you link with people, and people get to know more about Shelter Box. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we work at a number of different levels. We have a fundraising department within Shelter Box, and each member of the fundraising department will work at a different level. So we'll have some people that will work on larger media campaigns. We had one over the Christmas period back in the UK on the Underground Tube service. We had an advertising campaign, and that's quite a large-scale way of reaching a mass audience. But then you contrast that with that community-level approach, and that's really the way the fundraising department work, is they try and, whatever angle they can take in order to get the message across, they'll do that, yeah.
I would like to link Rotary and Shelter Box again. People are very selfish nowadays. Like, people do not think about others. They want to upgrade themselves. They want to develop themselves. And in this context, from where, like, how do you get to know, and how do you would like to help people?
I think we've seen some really heartwarming stories in the community, even here in Nepal. There was one small community, Roxani, where there were many families left homeless. I think it was relatively small in that case. There were about 9 families who had lost their land and lost their home as well. And it was very heartwarming to see that community is actually going to give them land. The community themselves are giving them a bit of land to keep their community together. So we do get heartwarming stories where people are not still, they're not all out for themselves, which is great. I know what you mean. It is sometimes you do think that people are becoming more selfish. But
I think we're in a very privileged position actually, and if you spend time doing what we do, it's those people that you encounter along the way. I kind of tend to think of the Shelter Box response team as coordinators. We just link up these different elements. So we link up the Rotary in Kathmandu with the beneficiary in the field, and we try and make sure that chain works. And all the way along that chain that the Shelter Box moves from importation to distribution, it involves characters that are just working, service above self, I guess.
Yeah. Jitendra certainly epitomised that. I mean, we were very worried he was missing out on his university studies. He had dropped out of it and he had come with us to do whatever was needed. So there are still good people in the world.
True, there are some good people, it's true. We are almost in the end of our conversation for today. At the last, I would like to ask you something. Kathmandu is in dangerous state as a peak point for earthquake disaster. Sadly, Kathmandu is highly polluted. What suggestion would you like to give to our viewers in this context?
I'm probably not the best person to speak about this because I think there's lots of people in Kathmandu, lots of people from different NGOs and INGOs are working on a disaster risk reduction plan. And there is lots of material around. And I think I'd really encourage viewers to try and take advantage of the local networks and the people that are working on a disaster risk reduction programme. There's lots of material about what to do should you face an earthquake and the best approach to take. So yeah, I would really encourage viewers to kind of see what materials are available and make sure that they can prepare themselves as best as possible.
Shelterbox is an international disaster relief charity that provides temporary shelter and life-saving supplies to displaced families. I wish you all the best for your upcoming projects. Thank you so much for being here with us. Thank you for being here at Nepal and serving our people, being in partnership with Rotary. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Priyanka.
Today we had Nicola Hins and Malcolm Shade from Shelterbox. They were here in Nepal in partnership with Rotary International District 3292 to serve the people who were homeless, who were distracted because of landslides and floods in Sunkosi, Surkhet and Bardia. We had a conversation with them. We would like to sign off for today. Thank you so much for being here with us. We will see you in our next episode. Till then, take care. See you. Bye-bye. Namaste.